G'day folks, and welcome to the channel. Got a short update for you today on this unit here. It's the Carpuride 7-inch GPS navigation device that I reviewed a couple months back. Full review down below in a link. As a recap, it's 7-inch screen, it's waterproof, and it does CarPlay or Android Play. So whatever apps you have on your phone that are compatible with those things will display on this screen. In the review, I tested it on my Tiger 800 on a road bike. Big dash, heaps of room, it's great. This time I wanted to put it on the 500, which is a much smaller dash area, and you can see it's going to be quite crowded there. However, I got it on there, I got it all set up and working, and off we went on a 4-day ride. So my goal for this ride was to see whether I could follow a pink line on this Carpuride unit using the OsmAnd Maps application. So I wanted to test out just how easy it was to navigate with it. I want to test out usability of the unit and just overall durability of it. Like, it's a 4-day off-road ride, so it's going to get vibrated and bounced around. I just want to see how it went. So the first hurdle for me was getting to know how to use that OsmAnd Maps application, and for that I went to YouTube. Now, the best video I found was one from a channel called FirstLight ADV, and it goes through how to set up the app for motorcycle and four-wheel drive tracks. And the best bit about it was that there was a link to the settings file, which means you can watch the video, but you don't actually have to do anything because you just import that settings file. Fantastic. Highly recommend watching that video, grab those settings and importing them, and start from there. Use that as a base. Our ride was split into multiple tracks, and on the Garmin, what I usually do is just select track 1A and follow that to the end, and then you switch tracks to track 1B and follow that to the end. However, when I selected that within this application, I just didn't like how it was being displayed. Now, I don't normally, I don't listen to prompts for navigation. I don't have screen prompts showing, the next turns in a kilometre or whatever. I don't do any of that. So I just found the screen really messy when it was set up that way. So what I did was abandoned the navigation side of it. Like, I didn't select any tracks within the app, but they all displayed on there anyway. Right, so all the tracks are always highlighted all the time, which means now I had a nice big screen, uncluttered, with just the map, the pointer in the center, and once I figured out how to have it with track up rather than north up, whichever way you're going, the map rotates around you, then it was just brilliant. All the tracks were just always on there. I never had to change anything because they were just displayed all the time. Now, I did run the Garmin Rhino beside the Carpuride unit as a bit of a backup, but I found myself looking at that less and less as the trip went on. I much prefer the larger, brighter screen of this Carpuride unit. Now, that does lead me to one point about the data that's on the maps. And for everything we had planned, the tracks were on the OSM maps. But a couple of times we were just kind of looking for alternatives, and then there'd be tracks showing on the Garmin using the Topo version 5 maps, but they're not on the OSM maps. And once it was the other way around, we had nothing on the Garmin, and yet there's a track on the OSM maps. The point is, the bush changes, tracks get closed, farmers close some off, they get overgrown, then others open up. So find the most up-to-date maps that you can, or if you use one of these apps, typically they download any updates automatically, which is exactly what the OSM maps do. Now, as for other usability features, it's easy enough to zoom in and out using the little plus and minus buttons. Sometimes a little bit fiddly with gloves because they're quite small. They're still doable. The brightness of the screen is absolutely sensational, like it's 1000 nits brightness. Now, for durability, there was two things. One, there's a ball on the back of the little square bracket thing. Now, that came loose at one point. The ball itself is screwed onto the bracket and the screw had come out. So I just put some Loctite on that, tightened it all back down, that was all good. And then on day 2, I find the whole unit's wobbling again, this time because 2 of the screws on the square bracket had fallen out and a third was just about fallen out. And they are tiny little screws, they're little M3 screws, didn't have a spare of those, so I tightened them up as best I could, stuck some duct tape over the whole thing so they couldn't at least vibrate out again, and it was fine for the rest of the trip. When I got home, I found some replacement M3 screws and Loctited all 4 of them in there to hold it in there. The unit got left out in the rain one night, no problems with waterproofness. The only other problem I had was I was using the USB power, which vibrated out a couple of times. So, you know, if you are actually doing this properly and setting it up properly, you would use the hard wire connection for power and run it from your battery to the unit. I suppose the big question, would I keep this unit on the 500? Now, I'd really love to, because I really like that CarPlay interface. It's fantastic. I took phone calls over those 4 days, usually from people who were lost, and you can just see who's calling you. Rather than it just coming through to your center or your intercom, you don't really know who it is. It'll still ring and you can answer it, but you don't know who it is. So seeing all that on the screen, it's really, really good. But I still think it's too big for the 500, particularly with my dash setup. It's really crowded in there, and there's no room to really move it around behind the little screen that I've got. How I had it, I couldn't see the speedo on the bike. Now, the nav unit does have an actual speedo showing, so you know how fast you're going, but you're not getting any of your warning indicators. You're not seeing your trip meter. You can't see your indicator flasher, all those things which I kind of missed. So I think it's probably too big for the 500. It's certainly a great screen size, and it suits the larger bikes if you've got more real estate there on your dash. I am hopeful I'll be able to test a slightly smaller unit from Carpuride, which is a 6.3-inch screen. Maybe that'll be a better fit for the 500. Stick around for that review at some point, maybe. So that's all for now. I'll put a link down below to the full review. Keep an eye out for the 4-day ride video, which should be coming soon as well. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Bye for now.